I think the last count I have, there's 175 signatures to this letter. I guess it's addressed to the White House on Pennsylvania Avenue, saying, hey, you're being mean to John Brennan, that you shouldn't be revoking his security clearance. I'm just wondering, from your research and all the great work that you folks do at Judicial Watch, are any of these signatures any folks who came out when it was discovered that Hillary Clinton was putting our national security at risk by using this private server, among other things? But did any of these people, as far as you know, these same people who are mad at President Trump, did they come forward and did they say, hey, Hillary Clinton should have her security clearance revoked because she put our national security at risk?
Great question. And the real answer to this is that this letter and the signatories, it's something more than a self-serving publicity stunt. These people are terrified that they themselves will lose their clearances because, frankly, they use the clearance process and they use the fact that they have continued access to classified information really as a club card, as a way to line their own pockets with cash, because they use their clearance status to obtain government contracts, consulting deals, memberships on boards. They've taken their government service and leveraged it for personal profit. And the idea that they're no longer going to be a member of the club terrifies them.
Right, and John Brennan, in his case, at the very least on national television, monetized his national security clearance, and at the same time is attacking the president, whose sole and solemn responsibility is to protect we the people. So I think that this is completely justified just on that level alone, but there are multiple other reasons. But Judicial Watch, back to Hillary, you folks have uncovered more of Hillary's sensitive emails. Some are classified. You have 5
Correct.
more in these recent batches of dozens and dozens of emails that you've received via your FOIA requests. I've lost track, Chris. What are we up to now in terms of emails that Hillary Clinton either sent or received that were on her private, non-secure server? What's the total number by your count that we have as a batch of evidence showing all of the ways that Hillary Clinton, through these emails, put our national security at risk?
There are hundreds at the confidential and secret level, but I think what's most disturbing, and this is really the grave threat to the country, is that 22 top secret sensitive compartmented information emails went across their server. And that has been known now for, at this point, going on years, plural. That's the stuff that is a direct violation of 18 U.S. Code, Section 793F, the mishandling of national defense information. I can articulate the crime because I know what the elements of it are, and that's frankly why she should be indicted by a grand jury and go on trial for what she's done. As opposed to the never-ending Mueller hysteria where no one can articulate what the criminal predicate is, I can tell you what it is with respect to Mrs. Clinton and her conduct.
Yeah, it's very clear. Unlike Robert Mueller, who goes in an investigation searching for a crime to affix to a person, we
Correct.
have crimes committed, violations of statutes, as you just mentioned. The Espionage Act and the Federal Records Act.
Correct.
This is a complete and total obliteration of both of those statutes. And for all we know, Chris, these emails are floating out there in the internet ether somewhere. We don't know.
Correct. And, and this is the case where Brennan and his little friends are suddenly struck dumb.
2 of the 5 emails are interesting to me because of who's involved and also their classification. The April 8th, 2010 memo from Sidney Blumenthal, the nefarious friend of Bill, friend of Hillary, always seems to be getting in there in the nooks and crannies of our government one way or another. This is a confidential piece of email, and then a little over a year later, in 2011, this is a classified document from the former British Prime Minister. All this evidence, you mentioned a grand jury. Is there any word on Capitol Hill that Hillary is finally going to be held accountable and that possibly what some folks in the Trump administration have been alluding to, that the FBI should reopen the investigation, have a fresh look at this?
It has to be. I mean, there's no way in the world. I mean, there is a mountain of evidence, documentary evidence, stuff that's been recovered by the FBI. We know that Mr. Comey and his little band of merry men, whether it was McCabe, Strzok, and the rest of them, deliberately manipulated language to back it away from the felony count of mishandling national defense information by inventing this element of the crime called intent, which doesn't exist in the law. It's a complete fabrication by Comey, and then by watering down the language with respect to how they handled the information and saying that it was extremely sloppy, or whatever. His exact quote escapes me.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.